Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us today. We've got some lovely new destinations to show you. Myself and John here are going to run through some of the wonderful destinations that we at Aurora get to. What we'll do during the course of this is we will turn our cameras off because we want to see you to see the pretty pictures. But we will thank you for joining us all the way from some of you in New Zealand, all the way right across to WA. Thanks again, and let's get this show on the road. So thank you again for joining us, folks. It's really nice to have such a large number joining us today. What we'd like to do is just show you some of the things that we do that are really quite around the whole planet. So from polar regions and that bit in between. What we would like to do is tell you, as some of you are new, a little bit about the company as well. Well, we're a 30-year-old Australian company. We've been based here in Sydney for all of that time, and we've been doing a lot of exploration. So we continue to use this term, explore endlessly, because it is our mission in life. What I'd like to do is take you through some of these beautiful destinations and tell you not just what we do and where we go to, but how we do it. One of the biggest things for us is sustainability. Now, a lot of people talk about sustainability in the travel business these days. We don't just think about it or believe in it. We put sustainability into action, whether it's here in our offices in Sydney or in the UK or the US, but most certainly on board our ships. And to maybe illustrate that for you, I'd like to just share with you a small video that will give you an idea of what we do to maintain that sustainability. So travel for good, it's quite a mighty direction to be headed, but we seem to be doing it rather well. I think one of the greatest things and greatest challenges for people in the travel industry today is creating, I should say, and maintaining a really high standard of safety, health and safety protocols. We have among the highest in the business, and we change these to suit the different governmental regulations that we have around the world. But right now, for example, we've been operating in Antarctica, and one of my colleagues here from the office is actually coming back, and they had a great trip, and there was no sign of anything like COVID on board, and everybody had a great time. They even had good weather. So our health and safety protocols are working very well. And I think for you as potential customers, you would need to know that you're in very safe hands when you travel with Aurora Expeditions. One of the key things for us is having the ships that are specially designed, very specifically designed, not just to be comfortable as we transport you around the world, but to make sure that we can get you ashore safely and very quickly, maximizing the amount of time that you have available in these pristine, beautiful destinations that we get to. You can see here that our guests are getting ashore very quickly. We have to do this because very often we'll find ourselves taking our guests ashore twice a day, once in the morning after breakfast, and then once again in the afternoon after lunch. So it's something that we do, and we keep our numbers very small to ensure that you get the maximum time ashore. You can see our beautifully designed Greg Mortimer here. The Greg Mortimer was named after our founder of Aurora Expeditions. Greg is a famous mountaineer. Here is an Australian chap who is actually still involved somewhat in the company. He pops into the office from time to time, and we actually listen to his sage advice. In fact, the fact that we are 100% carbon neutral is actually one of the great goals that Greg set for the organization quite some years ago. So he's highly delighted that we've reached that heady height. The ship itself is built to cut through waves, and you see this rather unique design. This was the first ship of its kind ever built for passenger service, and it really is unique, and it gives our passengers a very comfortable ride. And when I say comfortable ride, it's actually quite beautifully appointed as well, with wonderful staterooms. 85% of these have balconies, and there's a few with just portholes for those who wanted a lower lead price. The public rooms on board are beautiful, and for us, learning and education is a cornerstone of what we do. Learning from our very, very wonderful and illuminating guest lecturers and expedition team here in this room is something that you'll take with you for the rest of your life. The other public rooms are very well used as well. And here you see our observation lounge, which is sitting atop the ship, overlooking the bow, and give you some wonderful views of the destinations that we're visiting. Our latest ship will be joining us a little later this year, and we've named it after Dr. Sylvia Earle, the marine biologist. The Sylvia Earle is slightly newer because it's been a couple of years since we launched the Greg Mortimer. And with any new vessels, you'll always bring some new ideas to it. And you can see at the bow of the ship, there's actually some large glass windows that create a bit of a glass atrium within. I'll show you some images that cover that in a few moments' time. The ship in essence is very, very similar to the Greg Mortimer and built to that same high standard, specially constructed to go to these unique destinations that we go to. You'll find on board the Sylvia Earle, the color palette in the decoration on board is slightly changed, and very, very beautiful, very comfortable. And again, the main restaurant is located in exactly the same place. Very nice to know that people come back time and time again. I know some of you have traveled with us, and I hear some great things from everyone when they come back saying that they really enjoyed the food on board. One of the things that one of my staff members did just last week, she did the polar plunge. And I know that as soon as she got out of the water, she raced straight up top to get into our sauna, where there's very much a beautiful, warm room with a view here, where she warmed up again. True expedition ships always have these. This is our mudroom. This is a sort of barrier room, if you will, between the outside and the inside of the ship. In this room, our guests will actually come down the stairs and they're changed into their outdoor gear. In the case of polar regions, you'll see we have gumboots in the bottom there that people will wear to go ashore with. They'll leave their shipboard's gear here in their locker, and they'll make their way ashore. And we'll see some of that when we speak with John just in a very short time. The expedition, the whole idea of expedition is to take people very safely and comfortably from one pristine region to another. The last thing we would like to be doing is taking any microorganisms from one place to another. And this sort of barrier room makes sure that we don't transfer any nasties from one place to another. A wonderful asset on board the Sylvia Earle. This is this atrium I was mentioning before, where the glass allows that natural daylight to come beaming in. This area is our Citizens Science Centre, and the Citizens Science Centre will be used in a program that we're rolling out a bit later on to both of our ships, which will allow our guests to be part of a data collection service, if you will, that will feed information to some of the great seats of learning around the world, including places like the James Cook University here in Australia. Now, if there's one thing that's very, very different about us, and it's not just the ships or our food or our wonderful staff, is most certainly the expedition team. Now, the expedition team are very large for the size of ship, and I think you can possibly see my cursor just moving over the top of John's head here. John's just about to come on, and he's going to tell us some of the things that we do when we're traveling on board Aurora. John, can I ask you to just take over the control, please?
Sure. Just before I get started, thanks everybody. It's lovely to be here and join you this morning. I thought we'd show you a quick video of some of the activities that we do and a little bit of an introduction. We'll just go ahead now.
Hi, my name is Peter, also known as Scuba Pete. I've been with Aurora Expeditions for just over 20 years, and I'm proud to be part of our onboard expedition team. At Aurora Expeditions, we have the world's most comprehensive program of activities. We can take you snorkeling, we can take you scuba diving, we can take you kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding. You can go skiing with us, you can go snowshoeing, and if you really fancy, you can also camp out on ice. It's not uncommon to have many people that join us on our expeditions say that the experiences that they had on one of our trips were life-changing. Watching people's expressions, their faces change from day to day, just thinking, yesterday was the best day of my life. I didn't think it was possible to have another one and a better one. And every single day, the environment, the wildlife, it just amazes them. It changes their life. They go back home changed people. Water temperature, it's not as cold as you think. It's balmy 4 degrees Celsius. And you're gonna stay warm and feel warm with the top of the range equipment that we'll provide for all of our snorkelers. You will be looked after by world's best guides. They are experts in their fields and they have a ton of experience looking after people on our voyages. Make sure you pack your spirit of adventure. Come and join us for a trip of a lifetime. We'll see you on board.
Thanks, Pete. So my name's John Weir, and I look after all of our activities here at Aurora Expeditions. I've been guiding for many years, most of my life, and I've actually just come back from the ship. So I'm very recently off the Greg Mortimer down in Antarctica, and it was only 2 weeks ago that I left down there, and I thought I'd join in today and give a little bit of a walkthrough of some of our of the voyage that we did. I thought that the most interesting way to do this would be to take you roughly on the route of one of our voyages, and that I was on only in January. And so we've been seeing lots of pictures of, you see a lot of brochures and I imagine pictures on your way researching these expeditions, but this is real, and I was there just this January. I thought for those who are a bit top down like me, you'd like to have a bit of a look at where we are, and so you're looking here at a map, an image of the world from slightly below, looking at the Antarctic Peninsula sticking upwards off the continent, and you can see that the tip of South America, where we operate from, comes down and gets quite close to South America. And just to give us a little perspective, we often get asked, why don't we take these voyages from Australia, considering that we're an Australian company? And you can see here, this is the globe is spun around a little bit. At the bottom of the screen, you can see the Antarctic Peninsula where we go, and Chile. And if you look at the top of the screen there, you'll see Tasmania and the bottom of New Zealand. And you can see that the distance is much further. It's a 7-day voyage to Antarctica from either of those continents, and that's a rough ocean to be out in for 7 days. So it's a wild place to go to, and we expedition team love it. But you can see that it's so much more practical to go from South America. So getting back to now, this is the voyage that I thought we might just talk about today. We started in Chile. We travelled across the Drake Passage and down to the Antarctic Peninsula, roughly on this path here. This just gives you a little bit of an overview of the route out of Chile, which is a little different for us this year. We operated from Chile, and normally we start our voyages in Argentina, which is where Ushuaia is. This year, was a safer place to operate from Chile. And you can see that it gave us this opportunity to cruise through the beautiful fjords of Chile. The fjords of Chile add a lot to the voyage. It was a full day of cruising and absolutely stunning. And we who've operated there for many years were just delighted to have the opportunity to travel through these passageways, many convoluted fjords and just stunning scenery. So it was a real bonus for us this season. Finally, we come out into the edge of the Drake Passage, and this is looking off the ship at Cape Horn. So that's where so many stories are told of Cape Horn, and that's the actual Cape. And sometimes on a nice day, we can get to land there. So it's very spectacular. This is the group of passengers, or those of whom were brave enough to come out on deck that day. And you could all imagine yourselves amongst this group of people. We have people from all walks of life, and no one is particularly experienced, but they all have that spirit of adventure that Pete was talking about earlier. And it's a wonderful group of people. During this passage, so the big dark blue passage of water you can see is the Drake Passage. It's got a fearsome reputation. Sometimes it's flat as a mill pond, other days it's really rough. And we take the opportunity during those days to familiarise ourselves with each other, enjoy the hospitality on the ship, and take in some of the luxuries that we're provided. It's a beautiful ship, as Steve was saying. Absolutely, we expedition team love it, and it's just such a comfortable place to operate from, and the staff on board that look after us are exceptional. We during this part of the voyage, we meet the captain and some of the crew, and this is our captain from Sweden, really lovely guy, and he comes down, and there are various lectures and briefings that take place during this time, and it's a great time to get to know each other. And you can see here that the folks sitting in the lecture room and listening in to some of the lectures. We also provide you with an expedition jacket. So this is one of our crew fitting up the people with their expedition jackets on the voyage. And it's a comfortable jacket. You get to take it home, which is a lovely souvenir and something to remember. Often they're covered with penguin poo, and that becomes a bit of a bragging right down at soccer on a Saturday morning. So during the Drake Passage, there's a lot of water, but it's absolutely full of seabirds and other wildlife that we get to experience. And most people do get out on the deck and walk around, depending on how rough it is, or just enjoy their time enjoying inside of the ship. You can see here from deck 8, looking down at the very bow of the ship. And as Steve was saying earlier, it's a wonderful ship that acts a bit like a catamaran breaking through the waves, and it provides a very stable passage. And I was so surprised at how gently it rides even a big sea. And we had a couple of big crossings this summer down there. Looking now at the shaded area down the bottom, you can see where we arrive in the Shetland Islands and then cross to the peninsula. And that shaded area is on this next map here. And you can see the ship comes in through the Shetlands. We do a stop there and then travel across down into the peninsula proper. It's a very exciting time as we arrive to the Shetland Islands. Here you can see the look of the islands sort of appearing out of the ocean almost, and the first icebergs turn up, and everybody's up on deck and building their anticipation, and it's such an exciting time. We have a competition to guess who will spot the first iceberg, and everybody gets involved in our arrival, and we get out of this sort of seas and into sheltered waters. We arrived here in the Shetland Islands, and our first stop on this particular voyage was this little island group called the Melchiors. And this was fairly early in the Omicron outbreak and of the virus. And we got down to these Melchior Islands, which is where we anchor the ship. It anchors where that little anchor is, almost in the middle of the map you can see there. And we were getting to explore these islands, and we noticed down in the right-hand corner of this map, you can see where we actually discovered where Omicron originated. So we were fairly devastated to have chosen this place to start this particular expedition, but we got used to it as we progressed through the season. So the Melchiors are a lovely group of islands. You can see this is the very same voyage. So the seas out in the crossing were much rougher. Once we got into amongst these islands, it was safe. And you can see our Zodiacs. They're in flat 6-meter long inflatable speedboats, if you like, with outboard motors on the back. And that's what we use. We'll take you off the ship and we'll go explore in these islands. There's no one's telling us where to go. We just go and explore our way around and see what we can find. and it's our first opportunity to get down amongst the icebergs and see the all the different animals that start to appear. So there's a few areas that we operate on the peninsula. The main area is this area here, which is the base of the main focus of the peninsula. We also go up into the Weddell Sea, which is in the north, and if we go really far south, it's about there. So you can see that we explore a fair bit of the Antarctic Peninsula. As an expedition team, we get to choose where to go, and you can see how convoluted the coast is, the coastline of the main area of the peninsula. And every one of these areas has its unique features, and we choose out the best place to go. I thought the best way to get us through today would just be to show you a few of my favorites and where we went actually on this voyage. And as I say, this has really happened this January. So the first of those is Nico Harbour, which is a favorite of everybody. Absolutely beautiful place, full of icebergs of all shapes and colors. And we get to go in there and anchor, and then we explore a beautiful penguin rookery. And the place is teeming with wildlife. You know, it's the very first time we see this amount of dense wildlife, and we get you off the ship. So, you know, we're very proud of our ship, but of course we expedition team aim to get you off the ship. It's our point of being there. We're not a sit around on the deck cruise company, and we want to get you out exploring. And this is a team that's just left the ship and in Nico Harbour, and we're off to explore. And you can see that we get you right up close to the animals. It's, you know, the animals are very friendly. The people by now have had time to make good friends. These people didn't know each other at the start, and now they are quite close friends. And you will also make friends that will last a lifetime on the voyage. The animals are very friendly, and this is real life. I mean, we took these photographs on this voyage. You could get right up close to these animals. They're not afraid of people, and we have to be, you know, very careful that we don't disturb them. But this all, you know, these sites all you would see if you were to come and join us down there. I can't promise you'll see a whale up that close, but you will. So Nico Harbour, absolutely beautiful place. And amongst the other activities, so I'm a kayak guide originally, and we do kayaking on the ship. And you could imagine joining one of our activity programs really enhance the voyage, and you get to see up close the animals. As Steve was saying earlier, the ship is built for expedition travel, and it's well appointed for these activities that we operate from the back of the ship. So it's an optional supplement that you can choose to add on to your voyage, and all you have to bring is a spirit of adventure. There's no need to be an expert in any of these things to join us. You can see that people have a great time when they get out there. The people come from all walks of life, and you could almost imagine yourself sitting in one of those kayaks. So the next place I wanted to take you then down is the Le Maire Channel, which is a ship cruise that we do where we travel on the ship through this beautiful area. And it's where I say it's like sitting in a luxury hotel and floating through Switzerland. Absolutely. Maybe you imagine Antarctica is a field of sheet ice, but it's not. It's a mountainous area that's stunning scenery and absolutely beautiful. So we travel right through this narrow channel on the ship, and on the way through, it's full of whales and seals and penguins, and we get up so close to them, and we're often breaking through ice and seeing absolutely stunning icebergs. And the sights through the Le Maire are something to behold. This is coming out the end of the Le Maire Channel into the next area that I wanted to show you, and you can see just stunning mountains. It really is a sight to behold. Port Charco and Peterman Island are the next places, just at the end of Peterman, and again a place just full of grounded icebergs. It's rather shallow water, and these icebergs get sort of caught in the shallow water, and then they sit there, and whales come in amongst them, and we will get off the ship into the Zodiacs again and travel around. Or if you're a kayaker, you'll be out there paddling with the whales, and it's just truly a breathtaking experience. The icebergs weather away over time, and every time we go back, they're still there, but they've changed shape, and we get to explore. We drive the Zodiacs all in around amongst them and see what we can find. There are caves and whales and seals and just a feast of ice. These are some of the seals that were in a group around us, and we travelled down also to Peterman Island, which is a big Gentoo penguin rookery, and you can see the expedition team here's landed with the Zodiacs, and this is where the passengers like yourselves would be off walking around amongst the penguins, and you really get up this close to the penguins. You know, they're not afraid, and we actually have to warn people to be a bit careful not to step on them. So it's you can see what a spectacular place it is. And of course, when you get done with that and you're ready to go back to the ship, you know, the ship is waiting not far away. We Zodiac back to the ship, and you're back on board, and you can sit around in the hot tub or enjoy the luxuries on the ship, and just a stunning way to see Antarctica, and truly a wonderful experience. I thought I might just, last of all, take us to Cuvier Island. It's a very famous place for an enormous penguin rookery. And on this particular voyage, you can see that it's not all snow and black and white down there. There are places where there is moss growing and vegetation, and our onboard naturalists will describe all this to us and show us the scenery. You can see the beach on this particular voyage was quite icy, and you can see the penguins walking around on this little beach. I was kayak guiding on this voyage, and it was snowing, which does happen down there occasionally. And we were exploring, but you can see, you know, how up close we got to the penguin colony. And we paddled around this little island when we were kayaking, and absolutely felt like we were on the edge of nowhere and exploring like it was a new world. It was really a spectacular place to be. The other activity we run, and Pete was dressed in his dry suit describing earlier, is snorkeling. It's a really, you might be thinking in your mind, why ever would you snorkel Antarctica? But I tell you, these people are dressed in these dry suits and all this equipment, and they are warm. You can see these are not unhappy people, despite the fact that water is really cold. And so this is a way we get to further explore Antarctica in quite a different way, and we were pioneering this activity in Antarctica. It is a fun thing to do, and it's been very, very popular, and something to have a chat to the reservations consultants about how it works and so forth. But something to consider, that suits or equipment keeps you warm and dry and quite safe. And you then get to see this unique type of experience where that's that group of penguins. Now it's underwater, and you can see it's like a school of fish. Absolutely unbelievable. And these are the kind of experiences, in-depth experiences, that we're happy to offer. I thought I might finish off with just a couple more slides here of some of the wildlife. These photos are taken by Scott Patelli, our onboard photographer. He does photography clinics on board, gives us some help, and his photography of the wildlife just leaves mine for dead. So thanks for the opportunity to talk to you today. I'll just wheel through some of these wildlife pictures here a little bit for you and just show you some of the things. And as I say, all of these pictures were taken on the voyage that I was on this season, and every voyage we go on is different, and you'll see that these very things or something quite unique to your voyage. But rest assured, it's an unforgettable and an incredible experience. So thanks, Steve. I'll hand back to Steve now, and he can carry us forward.
Thank you very much, John. Wow. I'm always taken aback by some of the great photography, and it does really affect how your memories of the destination will be. And I know photography for us is a very, very large part of our expedition experience, and we'll always have great photographers traveling with us who will share their views and maybe train you how to use that really fancy, expensive camera that you have, or possibly even just your iPhone, and get some really great photographs to bring back with you. So what I want to do today is just take you through some of the destinations that are upcoming for us. A lot of the destinations we go to are really popular and will continue to go, because getting to these places at the right time of year is very important to us, and it would be to you if you're traveling with us. What I'd like to do is just take you and show you some of these places. So we've got some new voyages for 2023, and I'd probably like to show you those first. The first one is a UK coastal tour. Getting to some of these places in the UK, being a relatively small place where I was born, obviously with this accent, you would think it would be quite easy to get to these places. I can assure you that most Brits have not been to all of the places that you can see here on this map. One of the reasons is being able to unpack once on the ship and go see these wonderful, pretty remote destinations allows you to see something really pretty special. St. Michael's Mount here down in Penzance, down in the very lowest part of the UK. And then it completely collides with the very idea that you would have these wild goats up in the Orkneys. I know that when the great composer Mendelssohn visited the Isle of Staffa, he was so moved by this cave here. It's referred to as Fingal's Cave. He actually wrote an overture based on his experience here. The wildlife abounds in all different areas of the UK. And of course, our specialists on board will make sure that you don't miss a thing. Another destination that's a bit warmer for us is going through the Cape Verde Islands and the Azores. Now, this region is rarely visited and very rarely visited on the one voyage. This really takes in some of the most beautiful Atlantic islands and lets you see how different the coast of Africa and the coast of Europe can actually be. So some of these places are beautiful with wonderful beaches. And interestingly, even though you're in Portugal here in Boa Vista, it really has a very Caribbean tinge to it with the local communities and cultures there. The Azores is really about as remote as you could possibly be in the mid-Atlantic, and really quite a lush and green island. That gives you a little view, ladies and gentlemen, of some of the destinations that we're going to. And we've switched now to polar regions. And here we'll kick off with some Arctic voyages. This is new for 2023. And again, it takes in such a huge swathe of that entire region. For those of you who might have been to see Iceland or maybe Norway, this actually gives you the chance to go back and see so much more. So it's a really wonderful, very broad itinerary. In 22 days, it really takes you to see some of the great highlights. One of the biggest highlights, of course, is that we've chosen this time of year to go because you'll get a great chance of seeing the Northern Lights. Being able to pop in to see parts of Greenland and then moving onwards up to the Faroe Islands, and just having that mix of ice and beautiful scenery makes that a real winner, and it will definitely sell out very, very quickly. We have another voyage that does something not dissimilar. We have something like this runs most years, which takes us to some beautiful destinations, leaving from Scotland and ending up in Svalbard. Now, this obviously is focused very heavily on what we see in Svalbard, but certainly some of the islands and how that green, lush green from Scotland that you see initially changes to lots and lots of ice is something really pretty special. The wildlife, of course, changes with you as you proceed north. And of course, who wouldn't want to see one of these guys safely from a distance, of course. For 22 and 23, we are continuing with some of our most popular itineraries, and these are popular for many, many reasons. They pick the eyes out of the very best places, and they go during the time of year when it's absolutely at its best to travel around here. Being able to get to see the wonderful wildlife, being able to get up close with some of the ice is something that we really specialize in, and we've been doing it for a very, very long time. Arctic Complete are longer voyages, and these allow you to essentially they wrap two voyages into one, which is Svalbard, Iceland, and a bit of Greenland. This, again, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be traveling to the far end of the world. This is quite a distance to travel, and if you're going to go that far, it might be as well to tick 2 boxes at the same time rather than just one. Some of the wildlife and some of the sights you will see are really, really this good. It was absolutely spectacular. I think that's John at the back of this particular group.
Right.
He's nodding, so I'm thinking it probably is. The walrus you see up here are really pretty spectacular as well, and one of the only places you'll really get to see them on the planet. So again, there's some shorter versions of that, and I'd like you to please look either on our website or on our new brochure. If you don't have one of those, please let us know or let your travel agent know, and we can get one to you. Honestly, the weather is about as changeable as you can imagine. We've chosen these particular periods of time to be there so that we get the very best of the weather. And I love the fact that we don't only use sunny photographs. Sometimes there is cloud and sometimes there is snow and rain. And we love to know that we are including all of the weather types for you. Getting in to see some of the cultures and people that still live in these really remote destinations is something pretty special. The warmth of the welcome is very palpable. And just to remind you, we really are one of the most experiential expedition companies. And in Greenland, we often offer rock climbing, not for everyone. It will be for some of you that are feeling very energetic, and for those of you who are quite experienced to be able to participate in some of these sort of pursuits. The Northwest Passage, well, it's been on the top of my pecking list. I've never managed to get there yet. I'm hoping to get there in the next year or two, but this really takes you into Never Never Land. For those of you who are keen travelers who have been to a lot of places, before you join Virgin Galactic, please come and visit places like this. These are so remote, so forbidding, and so wondrous. It really is a spectacular destination to get to. So just being able to get to places where so few humans have ever been is a gift in itself, but being able to be led by such great lecturers and guides, it really changes your view of the world. Being able to see the great polar bear migration and some of the best bird life you'll ever see anywhere on the planet up here. And this is Prince Leopold Island. Beluga whales, you can see them here. They're rubbing against sand and themselves to try and scrape some of that skin off. It's a kind of, ladies, it's a bit of microdermabrasion, if you will, for whales. You'll possibly see the very well-hidden narwhal. Very few people ever get to see these creatures up in this part of the world. And then, of course, it is the birthplace of the icebergs, and this is where they snap off and travel south, and why shipping has to try its best to avoid. Well, that was our intro into Antarctica. It's certainly a destination we've been well known for 30 years, and we continue to finely tune and polish what we offer there. One of the things that's different about us, I guess, is that we do offer so many different variations on the central theme of Antarctica. Shorter voyages, longer voyages, voyages that include Falklands and South Georgia. We offer voyages that you can fly to and from King George Island. You can see here in the middle of this map. Sometimes you can avoid the Drake Passage one way, or you can actually avoid the Drake Passage both ways if you were time poor or you just simply didn't want to go across the Drake Passage. We certainly have it all for you. The way we can do that is we use these planes, these little penguin planes, very cute and very reliable. Our guests comment endlessly. I thought it was great that one of our managers here in the office came back and was very surprised to be handed a glass of champagne, which he was on board one of these planes on the short flight down to Antarctica. What a lovely way to start your experience. So being on the ship, and this very splendid ship is very specially designed to do exactly what we want to do. You can see here the drop down area where you can actually stand out on the bow and take in some of the great sights. John mentioned a lot of the activities. They're not for everyone. Not everyone wants to participate in any or all of the activities. Just that knowing that there's so many choices there for you is something that we really relish. I mentioned before that you could do shorter or longer voyages. And yet again, this is quite a distance to fly to South America. So it is possible that you could do a longer voyage, taking in the Falklands and South Georgia, which are a voyage that we do all on their own as well. But certainly if you've just done the Antarctic Peninsula before, it could be well worth looking at just the Falklands and South Georgia. But if you're going for the first time, why not do all three? The wildlife you see on those sub-Antarctic islands is really quite spectacular. And we're always there at the time of year where you'll see the fledglings just sort of trying to lose that downy fluff that they have, and they'll end up having feathers by the end of the season. And it's wonderful to see them grow so quickly. You'll see lots of different wildlife. And again, being led by our team, you won't feel that you're missing anything. Some of the sunsets you'll see down in this part of the world are absolutely exquisite, and being able to come back with some of this great photography as a lasting memory is something that will help you do. The guidance of our photographers on board will make sure that you definitely come back with something really, really much better than probably when you left. Being able to get out there on kayaks with John and his team is something that really gives you some time to just ponder, maybe yourself or with another person in a tandem kayak, as we can see here. Folks, I actually wanted to wind this up now. I've got a couple of things I just wanted to advise you all. First is that we have our brochure, which is new, and we have it sitting in the warehouse. For those of you who haven't received it yet, please let us or your travel agent know, and we'll get a copy of that brochure to you. We have covered as many things as we could dare in this 45-minute presentation, but we're always available to answer any questions. Just give us a call. We're on the end of the phone. Your travel agents, we spend a lot of time training travel agents to make sure that they can answer your questions as well. So please feel free to avail yourself of that service. Maybe finally, I'd just like to say a big thank you. Thank you for joining us, and really to make sure that you guys can get the best fares. It's probably best that I advise you that, like most companies, we actually have fares that when they're first announced, they're at their best price. So as the ship fills up, all at different times, there's no cut-off date per se, but the most popular voyages will fill quickly, and the savings go down and down and down, meaning that you will pay more and more the closer you get to the voyage. So I would strongly advise you to make your plans as far ahead as you can. I would also add that COVID has changed our regular booking patterns, so there are still some really good bargains to be had. Goodness, even this year, there's still some space left, and we still have some good savings on it. So please do have a look at our website and see if there's something there that suits you. So the earlier you can book, the better it is.